I'm Dorothy Louise Roten Wallick.
And how did you come to be in Carroll County?
I was born near here and lived here most of my life, except when I moved to Baltimore. And I was down there 38 years, and then my husband retired, and we moved back. So I've been there most of my life.
Mm-hmm. So your family was here.
Yes.
And how did they come to be here?
Well, they moved from Boring into Hampstead when it was time for me to go to school when I was about 5 years old.
Mm-hmm.
I was born in Boring. The new high school, the new school in Hampstead opened up, and I started there and went through all my 11 grades there.
Oh.
We only had 11 grades then.
Mm-hmm. What did your family do in Boring?
They were farmers.
Mm-hmm.
My grandparents were farmers for a while.
And so did they change occupation when they moved to Manchester?
Hampstead.
Oh, I'm sorry, Hampstead?
Mm-hmm. Well, my father was a huckster, and for a couple of years, and then he owned a store in Hampstead.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Do you remember any stories about that time of your life when you were moving?
Not at that particular time in my life. Mm-hmm. Later on, I met my husband when I was 14, and we went together 6 years.
Mm-hmm.
And then he was from Pennsylvania, so I thought I would be living in Pennsylvania, but he got a position in Baltimore, so we went there. So I lived down there 38 years in Baltimore.
Wow. And how was that different than Carroll County?
Well, it's not that much difference. Other than, I don't know, Carroll County's just, you're born and raised there, and your kind of heart's there.
Right.
And, so Carroll County's my favorite, naturally.
What was a typical day like for you growing up? Let's say when you were in grade school, did you have a lot of chores on the farm, or did you have a lot of responsibilities?
No, after I moved to Hampstead, there was no farming involved, and so
just mainly school then.
And we were on Main Street, and we were right in the center of town. My mother and father moved there, and they lived there the rest of their life. So my mother loved it. My father loved it. My mother loved her church, her Methodist church. And
was that the focal of activity? Did a lot of people do activities based around the church?
Oh yes, there's always something going on that you're working with, if you want to, and there's societies that you belong to, and do mission work. And
when you met your husband. Now, let's see, you were in high school then?
I was 14 years old. Oh. We went together 6 years before we married. I graduated in 31 and married in 34. And in 36, we moved to Baltimore.
And what did your husband do for a living?
He was a mechanic at that time. He worked on trucks. And,
so you raised all your children in Baltimore.
I had 2 sons, and I didn't have them until I was 35 and 40 years old. So.
How were the hospitals then, down in Baltimore?
Oh, they were fine. Yes, Women's Hospital. It was Women's Hospital. That's it joined in, with Greater Baltimore.
Right.
Now. And so, yes. So, and I brought my sons both home on Easter Sunday.
Oh. Well, isn't that something?
Yeah. It's funny how it worked out that way. They're 5 years apart.
How was it then? Did people stay in the hospital a long time when they...
Of course.
You got to rest a little bit?
Yeah. Yeah. I forget how long it was now, but I'm sure it was 6 to 8 days, something like that. So.
Did you get help when you got home? Did your family help?
My mother came down and stayed with me for a while.
So was the city living, you were in Baltimore City? Was the city living a lot different than what you had grown up with?
I was living in Loch Earn, which is a suburb of western Baltimore.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a lot of young people that moved in just about our age. It was a new development. And it was very enjoyable. We had a very nice society there that we ironed out problems and had a swimming pool there. And I enjoyed the time that we spent there, which was like 27 years.
Wow. And so what brought you back to Carroll County?
My husband retired, and then he became later on a white motor truck salesman. He sold white trucks. And then he retired. We were going back to the country, either up in Pennsylvania or Maryland. But my mother and father were getting elderly, so we found a place in Hampstead right back of my mother and father's. So we helped take care of their garden, and my father was getting elderly then. And I had a big plot. We planted all kinds of vegetables, and had a garden also, lots of flowers. And so we enjoyed being back.
What were some of the local traditions or events that were favorites of yours?
Well, I was always liked crafts. So I belonged to the Eastern Star, and we made favors. So I had charge of making favors, and we made them twice a month. And you'd save things from the kitchen, and you'd make things out of nothing, that some people would throw away. So I enjoyed that. And then I belonged to the Women's Club of Hampstead, and then also the Women's Society of the St. John's Methodist Church.
And do you still participate in any of those?
No, I haven't. I have only been over once since I left, I guess, because most of the ones that I was going to church with are not there anymore. They're either somewhere else or have passed on. And so I was over just a couple of weeks ago. My son asked me if I wanted to go over. He didn't ask me. He said, "I'll take you over to your church, and then we'll go down to the harbor and have dinner." And I said, "Oh, Bruce, I don't know anybody over there hardly anymore. I feel like a stranger."
Right.
But then, of course, I thought it over, and I thought that might be my last time to get over there. So I decided to go. And of course, there's still a few things, but my closest friends were not there.
Right.
But a lot of other friends were there, and they'd come up to greet me, and it was very enjoyable. So I don't participate in anything over there anymore. I gave up my car 4 years ago, so I'm not driving now. So, and they take a lot of trips over at Carroll Village, and but I've been there and did that. And I'm satisfied to stay home. Plus, I have a incontinence trouble, and so I have to beware of that.
Right.
So I'm satisfied to take it easy now.
At
95, I think I'm privileged too.
That's right. You can do anything, right? Take it easy.
But I'm always doing something in crafts. They have craft class over there, and I always attend the craft classes and the exercise. I do the exercises. And we play cards, and I don't know if you know all the things that goes on around here or not.
I know that it's a very active facility.
And you can keep busy, and everybody, even people that don't do very much, say the time goes fast for them. Because people think when you move in here, what do you do with your time, Well, it's plenty to do if you want to do it,
Right.
And I can't walk, but I can do all kinds of exercises because I had a replaced hip 10 years ago. So my hip gets tired when I walk a distance. So.
Were there any other memories of where you grew up that you can think of as a story? Maybe about the shopkeepers or anything unusual that was going on?
I don't know. We had stores there that were in Hampstead for years. They had Hyson's furniture store, Allender's a hardware store. They were all there, and Town Lippy's store. You'd go in there and get penny candy. It was right across from the high school. And I only had a block to walk to go to my school,
Well, that was
so I
good.
could come home for lunch. So,
Did most kids do that? Did they go home for lunch, or did they
well,
bring?
the ones that lived right in town, it's within walking distance, and of course they had buses that go from out in the rural sections. And
What kind of games do kids play then?
volleyball, dodgeball,
Did they have sports in school?
Oh yes, oh yes. Boys had soccer. They didn't have football then; they had soccer. So it was always. I got involved, in everything I could.
Stay busy. Did you have brothers and sisters?
I had one brother. Yeah.
Was he at school with you?
He was 7 years younger than me.
Oh, okay, so that was probably a good thing, right?
So had a little trouble with him. In first grade, he didn't want to go to school, and the teacher wasn't very kind to him, and I had to take him back to his room a couple times. But he turned out real well, anyhow.
Good.
So he's 7 years younger than me, and he's gone, and I'm still here.
Oh, wow.
He had a very bad accident with a lawnmower. He fell off of it and broke his neck and paralyzed him.
Oh, goodness.
So that's very sad.
Yeah, very sad. Sorry.
Yeah. My mother lived to be 94. And she just took a deep breath one day, and that was it. So I hope I can do the same thing.
Are they all up at Manchester?
Hampstead.
I'm sorry, I keep saying that. They're right next to each other.
Yeah, but they're
different
apart. They're foes to us when we were playing school games.
Are they at a cemetery up there? Local? Your mom and your brother?
They're in Hampstead, in the cemetery right back of our St. John's Church.
County, how would you describe it to them?
It's a very nice county. It was nice when I was growing up. Now it's changed a bit, same with the times, And but I liked it, and I thought it was a great place to live. Naturally, if you're there all your life,
Right.
you do. We had our house, Daddy's house was on Main Street, and we were right in the middle of town practically. And we had a big long porch, clear across the house, and I lived on that porch.
Yeah, it's nice to be out, isn't it? Yeah, gives you another space to be in.
Yeah.
Now, you saw Baltimore change a little bit too, because you talked about going down to the harbor recently. How has that changed?
Oh my, that's why my son took me down there, because it's changed so from when I was down there last. It wasn't built up. Now it's all these condos, it's surrounded. And he drove all around there for 10 or 15 minutes just to show me the difference,
How do you remember it being?
Oh, what you mean years ago? Oh, I never got down to the harbor. And that was a place you didn't go to. I mean, that wasn't a nice place then. You didn't go down to the harbor. It wasn't, only boats pulled in there, and so.
It's more like a dock.
See, it's changed now. All things downtown are not what they used to be. Bruce said, we went down to this restaurant downtown. I said, Bruce, downtown? Downtown now, we thought had turned, not a very good neighborhood. But it has changed, and they have these condos are expensive. Some of them are $1 million, and
right.
They're quite expensive. And it's very nice. They're everywhere you see them. So it has changed. It's progress. And they have nice hotels down there. And they at the restaurant, we went to the Rusty Scooper, and they got me a seat. They asked for a seat right by the window so I could see the boat go up and down.
It's pretty there, isn't it?
So it was really, really nice.
Now you talked about your dad's work. What did your mom do?
Nothing.
I bet she did a couple of things.
No,
she worked
my grandmother was very talented. She did everything.
Oh, really?
Oh, she sewed, and she made a duplicate house of their farmhouse that they had designed, and it was the lace curtains and the gold doorknobs and every detail. And it was marvelous. And we used to have it in our Christmas garden, and she would come up and trim fix our garden for us. And she made wedding cakes, and she sold them, and My cousin has a book of all the wedding cakes that she made. Mine was the last one, and she couldn't do the fancy work on it, like the top and the leaves, you know. She used to do those herself, but for mine, she had to buy them. And it was just nothing she couldn't do, you know.
Right.
But she didn't teach my mother anything.
Ah.
But she made all of her clothes and a lot of my clothes. And she was very, very talented.
Did your mom cook at all?
Oh, yeah, she cooked, sure. Yeah, she was a good cook.
Any special recipes you remember?
Yeah, prunella cakes that nobody's heard of.
What was different about it? What was it?
Well, you put prunes in it, and you use the prune juice for your icing.
Oh.
And it's very, very moist.
I
And
bet
it
it's
was my
rich.
husband's favorite cake also, because it was nice and moist and all. And
Did you ever make it?
oh, yes, because it was his favorite cake, so
Yeah.
I made it often.
Yeah.
And I put it in our church book, you know.
Yeah, you have to get that recipe.
Because the church made a recipe book and composed it, and I put that in. It was one of mine. So, but it was it was the same as a spice cake. It was spiced.
So at Christmas, that was you had special traditional things that you did. You said you had a garden.
We had a tree in a garden, you know, and always. And then, of course, that house set in the corner, and then they had a little barn over here, and she'd make the paths, you know. And I don't know if it was salt. I guess it was salt that she made the paths out of. And and I'd take my brother take a walk downtown while she was doing it in the afternoon, you know, to get him out of the way. So.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like you enjoyed your childhood.
My
growing
mother
up
put a
there.
lot of dinners on, you know. She put a lot of big dinners on, and we always, one of the family would take each one of the holidays. My mother would take that one, her sister would take another one, and my grandmother, and then I, of course, got into it. And then after my grandmother died, and I used to have Thanksgiving dinner and put on some big dinners too.
So then they traveled down to Baltimore for that.
Or we traveled up to Hampstead when they had it.
Right.
So.
Are your kids still in the area?
One lives in Phoenix and the other one's in Parkton, so they're not far away.
Good.
But over the weekend they've been out of town, so they're getting. One got back yesterday from Kansas, and the other one's getting back from San Francisco. And they were eating dinner out there Friday night, and the manager somehow or another they got in a conversation about Hampstead, and this man was a relative of a very dear friend of mine in Hampstead. And so, I mean, you can't get away from yourself, you know. And he thought it was really, you know, really something.
Small world.
Because Ruth Joyner was a very good friend, and of course she's passed away now. But there was a relative of hers, and he was asking her all about Dean's and some of the places in Hampstead. And they had quite a conversation. So
What was Dean's?
a restaurant?
Is that still there?
Yes, it's been there for a long time. Yeah. The only really good restaurant in Hampstead. The others are all fast food, came in later on.
Right.
But at one time, that was the only place to eat.
Right.
So,
Tell me a little bit about that. You were telling me that Hampstead
yes,
was named something else originally.
Spring Garden,
And how did it come to be Hampstead?
because it was named from a Hampstead in England, from where they came from. There's the two brothers came over together. One was a brother, I think one was a brother-in-law and a brother.
And they renamed it.
Yes. Yeah. I made a note here. I used to know everybody in Hampstead, you know, when it was only 960 people. Now it's 4,500 people living in Hampstead. And when I see the desk columns, well, I don't know them, you know, anymore. But it used to be, you know, you knew everybody.
Right.
You know.
Yeah.
And but that's way back, you know. I go way back. Living in the village, I graduated with 20 people all in my graduating class. And 4 of us lived at the Carroll Village at one time. two of the girls have gone, and two of us are still there.
Oh.
Jane Willis, she mentioned
Oh, yes.
she had an interview with Jane Twig Willis. Do you know her?
Not personally, no.
Well, she's the other one.
And it just so happens that you were here. You hadn't kept in touch.
No. It just happened that we, and I thought it was interesting that four of my graduating class and only 20 of us that we settled here.
Yeah, that's interesting.
So.
Well, thank you so much for sharing your memories about that time.